Hello YouTube, how is everyone doing? It's Professional here. So today I wanted to do a reaction to the Chernobyl trailer. HBO is making a TV series about the Chernobyl disaster. If you're unfamiliar with the disaster, this happened April 26, 1986, and it's one of the worst nuclear disasters in human history. This happened in the Soviet Union, and the plant had a nuclear meltdown, radiation spread all over. The nearby city that was next to the plant, Pripyat, was evacuated. There was 50,000 people that were there, but it's more than 50,000 people that were evacuated. I think it was up to 300,000 people because there was a lot more people in the surrounding area of the city. But when people see something like this, their first thought is Call of Duty 4, at least for the younger people. A lot of the younger people, they know about the Chernobyl disaster somewhat because of Call of Duty 4, and that can be a good and a bad thing because it's good in the aspect that at least more people know about it, but it's bad that people that play the game don't realize just how bad the disaster actually was. There's people to this day that are still suffering from the disaster. People that have gotten sick from it. A lot of people have died from it. And there's people that weren't even alive at that time. Kids that were later born with birth defects because of the disaster. So let's take a look at the trailer, and then I'll let you guys know my thoughts afterwards. And a lot of people were affected by this, and the radiation at the time, it spread into other countries as well. My mom, she was partially affected by this. I'll tell about that a little later, right after the trailer. So let's take a look at the trailer right now. Let's see what this TV series is like.
All of the good we did, it doesn't matter. What does matter is that to them, justice was done. See, a just world is a sane world. There was nothing sane about Chernobyl.
The disaster happened really late at night at around 1 a.m.
I'm pleased to report that the situation in Chernobyl is stable. In terms of radiation, I'm told it's the equivalent of a chest x-ray.
No, Chernobyl is on fire. And every atom of uranium is like a bullet, penetrating everything in its path.
A lot of the firemen
Metal,
died.
concrete, flesh. Now Chernobyl holds over 3 trillion of these bullets. Some of them will not stop firing for 50,000 years.
Tell me how to put it out.
You are dealing with something that has never occurred on this planet before.
Oh man.
Cut the phone lines. Contain the spread of misinformation.
What will happen to our boys?
The pain is unimaginable. In 3 days to 3 weeks, you're dead.
You can see him, and you cannot touch him. Do
Man.
you understand?
What happened on the night of the accident?
Asking the right question will get you the truth. There is no truth.
What happened there? What happened after? All of it. All of it. Madness.
Wow. Well, a lot of people, they always ask me, what kind of TV shows do you watch? I don't watch a lot of TV shows. I don't, but this is something that I would definitely want to watch. This I would much rather watch than most of the stuff on TV, and I really hope that they focus on the historical aspect of the disaster. I hope they don't do something like romance, like majority of it, and then the disaster after that, because I really don't like it when historical movies, they do the majority of the movies, they do like a romance and then they actually do the history part at the end. I don't like that. I just like it when they focus just on the actual event. But Chernobyl, it was just terrifying. It was terrifying at the time, and when it first happened, the Soviet government, they covered it up. They tried really hard to cover it up, and the reason they were trying to cover it up is because they always acted like, oh, everything's the best in the Soviet Union, and now the world was about to see just how crappy their reactors actually were. And the people that were a lot of the people that were involved in the plant, they were sent to gulags, which were like labor camps in the Soviet Union at the time. And those people that were sentenced, the people that were sentenced, they were sentenced more as a show. That those people were definitely careless in how they handled the plant, but a lot more people should have been prosecuted for that disaster. They did that mostly just for show because the public was just so outraged for it. But if it was just those people that were responsible, why were so many plants changed afterwards? The disaster had happened really late at night. It's when they were running tests, and then they tried to restart the reactor, I believe, and then the thing overloaded, exploded. The fire that was actually at the scene, that fire actually took days to put out. It was like a really big fire. It happened really late at night, and like one of the guys here says that like it's the equivalent of a chest X-ray. Let's see here.
In Chernobyl is stable. In terms of radiation, I'm told it's the equivalent of a chest X-ray.
No.
See, no, it's not. They tried to downplay just how bad it was, and a lot of the firemen that went there, they actually did not know about just how bad the disaster was, what actually happened. A lot of them thought that it was just a fire. Some had their speculations. Some had thoughts like, what was going on here? Is there actually a radiation leak? But these guys, they went in there without any proper like gear for that, and like the people that were outside, those people got sick, but there were people that actually went deep inside the plant. Almost all the people that actually went inside the plant died, and the people that were outside here and sick, that was just like one of the worst possible ways to die. It was just really, really, really bad. Like here, even they had to get rid of the clothes even because the clothes could have been contaminated as well with radiation. And there's one part here that actually shows the helicopter, and I really hope the TV series shows it. I'm assuming they will. But in the real disaster, one of the helicopters actually crashed right into the plant. Because what happened was they were trying to put out the fire. The fire lasted for days, and then the helicopters were dropping cement to try to seal the radiation in. And one of the helicopters actually hooked onto the crane and actually crashed and fell right into the plant, and the 4-man crew on the helicopter died. And there's speculation as to why the helicopter crashed, but most people believe that it was because the pilot was kind of zoning out because the pilot was sick because of all the radiation that was in the air, and then the helicopter actually crashed. And that's probably what they'll show. They'll probably show in this scene when the helicopter actually crashed. A lot of wildlife also suffered in the disaster. Like that forest today is like really contaminated. Let's see here. Yeah, this is what the city looked like then. Now there's just so many plants growing everywhere. The whole place is abandoned. And a lot of people, they recognize it from the video game, but they don't realize just how bad the disaster actually was, all the people that were actually evacuated. And there's this one scene with the guy who says contained a spread of misinformation. They were trying really hard to cover it up. The public in the city, they weren't notified of the disaster until 2 days later. The disaster happened on April 26th. The public was notified on April 28th. And the first people to actually notify people about the disaster weren't even the Soviets. It was the Swedish, because the radiation had spread into other countries, but it was mostly centered in Chernobyl. And it spread all the way into Sweden, and the Swedish discovered it. They actually thought that it was coming from their plants. And they locked everything down in Sweden, and then it was found out when the Soviets they couldn't cover it up anymore. They pretty much admitted at that point that there was a meltdown, that there was a disaster, and people lost everything in that. Not only did a lot of people get sick, but they lost their homes, they lost their property, lost everything, because the people that were evacuated, they were told, oh, it's only going to be a few days, you'll be back. Nobody ever came back. Nobody was ever allowed to come back. People lost everything, their property, their homes, place where they grew up. Everything was just left behind. And, like, one misleading thing is, like, when in Call of Duty 4, they say that 50,000 people used to live here. It was about 49,000 people in Pripyat. That's the city. Chernobyl was where the plant was focused at. But there was a lot more than 50,000 people that were evacuated. I think it was something like actually 300,000 people that were actually evacuated, not 50,000 people, because 50,000 is just the city. They also had to evacuate the surrounding area, the countryside, because it's spread there as well. So they had to evacuate a lot more than 50,000 people. And that's the problem when I say when like video games do stuff like this. It's like people don't know, people just don't know the extent of it. And this guy here,
Spread of misinformation.
Yeah, he contained a spread of misinformation. They were trying to hide the thing here. Yeah, you see this. This is just, and this is scary. This is scary, and the scariest thing about this is that this was real. This is not a horror movie. This actually happened. This whole thing happened, and you just see just how bad some people got sick. Kids were born later, born of birth defects. A lot of people died during it, and they don't even know exactly how many victims are. Like the initial Soviet reports, I think they say like 31 people died, but it's a lot more than 31 people that actually died, because people that were died later on that were sick. So there was a lot more people that died than that was reported. And here near the end, when they're actually sealing the coffins here of people that died, and they're sealing it with cement, and the reason that they're sealing it with cement is to seal the radiation in, because these people, even after they died from radiation sickness, their bodies were still emitting radiation. If you died from radiation sickness, radiation didn't disappear, it was still on your body, and the bodies were so contaminated they literally had to seal them in with cement. That's just that is really terrifying. But about the story, I wanted to say about my mom, how she was partially affected by it, because my mom was in Poland at the time, and the disaster, it happened on April 26th. Public got notified of it April 28th. May 1st was the Labor Day, which is a communist party. They took it really seriously, and Poland was a communist country at the time, and they had these parades. And my mom, she was a teacher, and she was forced to march in that parade. She had no choice. She had to march in the parade, and that radiation was spreading over. It spread all the way to Sweden. It was in Poland as well. And my mom, she was in northeastern Poland, and the radiation, it spread through. And my mom, when she was walking in the parade, I don't know what she caught, what happened. She ended up being okay. So if you guys are worrying, don't worry. She ended up being okay. But what happened was she told me it was like 3-4 p.m. when she was like walking, and then, even though she was feeling fine, then a few minutes later, she was feeling so weak. Not like the point where you're just sleepy, but the point where you're going to completely collapse right on the floor, because that's how weak you are. And she was so weak, she could barely stand. And then when she got home later that day, she went to sleep, and she slept for over 24 hours. 24 hours. That doesn't happen. People don't sleep for 24 hours. I don't know what that was, and my grandma, she tried so hard to wake my mom up, but no matter how hard she tried to wake my mom up, my mom wouldn't wake up. And then she woke up after 24 hours. She was still a little dizzy, but then she was fine. That was the end of it, pretty much there. But that was all the way in Poland. That happened all the way in Poland. And there was people in her city that were feeling strange after there. I don't think anybody in her city actually died, but people were just feeling strange and ill. But if that happened in Poland, I can't imagine how bad it was in Ukraine, which was part of the Soviet Union at the time. How bad it was there. The people there must have been they're much worse than that. And it's just a tragic story. Let me show you guys the helicopter crash. I actually have a video of that. The helicopter crash, it was actually recorded when it actually happened. The helicopter, it was trying to pour cement onto the plant, and the pilot, people don't know the exact reason why the pilot crashed. They're speculating that it was because the pilot got sick from the radiation. He was there for a number of days, and he was kind of like zoning out. Footage kind of shows it, but here, this is the crash. You see the pilot, it's kind of like zoning out here, hooked onto the crane, crashed. Everybody on the helicopter died. And here, let me show you guys what the city actually looks like, because a lot of people always say Chernobyl. Chernobyl's where the plant was focused at, but Pripyat, it's the city. It's the city itself. But here, this is a picture. Let me see if I can get a bigger one. If anybody's played the game, like Call of Duty 4, for instance, they recognize this is the pool, and this, which is probably like the most famous landmark in Pripyat, which is the abandoned amusement park. And the really creepy thing about the amusement park is the amusement park was only open for one day. It was only open for one day, April 27th, one day after the disaster. And the park was open largely to distract the public from what was actually happening. But yeah, this is what the city looks like. And the thing is, at the time, the people in the plant knew what was happening. The police most likely knew what was happening because the police were wearing gas masks, but I don't think that would really do anything for radiation. And there was rumors in the city what was going on. People started feeling ill. Why are the police wearing gas masks? They told the public, don't worry, but then it was revealed just how bad the situation is. And this city, to this day, 2019, is still abandoned. It pretty much looks just like this. Grass has grown all over the place. place is pretty much abandoned. Like this is a real building. This is actually the building from. This is actually the building. People recognize it from the game, from Call of Duty 4, where they took the sniper shot. That's right up here. This is a hotel, I believe. I think this is an abandoned hotel. Here's the Ferris wheel. But yeah, like I said earlier, it's good that at least some people know about the disaster because of the game, but it's also bad because people don't know the full extent. Like I said earlier, people think that it was 50,000 people, but a lot more people were evacuated than that. Yeah, so it's just this one of the more creepiest places. It's a lot of people, they go here for like tour guides today. It's people say that it's largely safe as long as you have like a tour guide with you, that they have like those machines, the gygometers, I think they're called, where they detect radiation. So those people are saying that the tours are largely safe, but the area is uninhabitable. Even though you can go there for tours, nobody can live there for like the next 20,000 years. So let me know what you guys think down below, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like. If you're new to my channel, join my channel, subscribe, and I'll probably do a review. I'll probably do a review on this TV series after I watch it. But I would really like to see it. I don't know if I have the HBO channel. I have to check, but I really do want to see this. I really am interested. So let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.